welcome back to the True Crime Guys podcast. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Michael.
What's up, people? How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another freebie. You freeload us.
A big name freebie, too. This is how we're changing it up now.
Senor Pablo Escobar.
The Steve Jobs of cocaine.
I like that.
You like that? It's pretty good.
Steve Jobs was also supposed to be a dick, so...
Oh, well, there you go. So it's perfect.
You know, it's hard for a person to be that uber successful and be like a billionaire. It seems like almost every billionaire is an asshole except for like Bill Gates. Seems pretty cool, right?
Yeah, he does seem pretty cool.
What's his nuts from
Twitter?
The electric cars? No, what's the guy?
Oh, Elon Musk?
Elon Musk, he seems kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah. But they still seem
little
like
strange,
their time
out there.
they seem like their time is worth so much to them, you know, which it is.
Yeah.
I mean, for being real with ourselves.
They have no patience for anybody who's mediocre. They're just like, you're just slowing me down. I think that was that was Steve Jobs' thing. It seemed like anybody around him that wasn't like pushing and making the product better or whatever, he was just like a complete dick to him. He's like, you're just wasting my time.
That's what I was gonna say. It's someone who doesn't have anything to offer them, someone
Right.
who they can't benefit from, so they feel like waste of time. That's not family or friends, you know. But I mean, but in a way, you benefit from your family and friends as well. So.
Yeah. Pablo didn't have time for anybody but his own family, really. He started to become paranoid, like a lot of guys in his position. A lot of mob people, a lot of people in the drug industry, bigwigs. He just seemed like he started to, like, even friends were at risk. Like, you just couldn't ever feel safe around the guy.
Oh, yeah, and rightfully so.
Right.
I mean, he's eventually worth, what, $3 billion?
Yeah. I want to say his net worth at one point was $30 billion. Like when you consider
Holy
all the
shit.
property and all the other shit that he owned. Yeah, we got a lot of statistics as far as how much money he was making, and it was like at the point where they're like burying money because they didn't even know what to do with it. It's just like this fucking money. It's so cumbersome. What am I going to do with all this?
What am I going to do with all this?
It's a little chilly out. Hey, burn a stack of hundreds.
Yeah.
I feel like he would burn stacks of hundreds rather than like share it with somebody else. Although unless he had a chance at like a PR thing he always liked to try and be the man of the people, but it was just a matter of raising up him and making him more powerful and trying to get him into politics and all that shit. We'll get into it, but
Right, of course. I could see him lighting a cigar with $100 bill or something like that.
Oh, for sure he did that. Joints. He loved weed a lot more. I think that was his thing, his drug of choice. But how's things going over in North Carolina, man? We don't talk much now.
Oh, they're going well, man. They're going really well. It's cooling down here. It's been like in the 70s, high 70s.
Cooling down here, bro. It's cold up in the mountains where I live. Yeah,
a good cold though. It's like brisk. It's like it's energizing cold. That's what I like about the fall here too. It's like that.
Yeah.
I've been spending a lot of time in the woods, cutting trails. We made a trail that goes clear up to Carter's Mountain, which is pretty awesome. You can see like Charlotte. You can oversee Charlotte and most of the like Charlotte metro area from the top of the mountain. It's pretty incredible.
I saw a video your wife posted on Instagram of walking the dog or whatever. Is that literally out your backyard? Is just a forest? Like she could just. Yeah. That is so crazy.
Yeah, you just walk straight out of our backyard. I'll have to send you a video, man. I'll make you a short one on my phone or something and put it in our Dropbox. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can see how that's better than Vegas. Where you were living out in Sandy Valley.
Yeah, it's where I grew up, man. You know what I mean? It just feels like home. Yeah. Yeah. It feels good.
Well, sorry to all the creepers. We missed a week there, and I think part of it is not that we didn't podcast or we needed a break or anything like that. We actually did podcast, and there was a fuck up.
Mm-hmm. On my part.
I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying shit happens. It could have easily happened on my end. It just happened to happen on Michael's end. Lord knows I've lost an episode before because of a mistake. So.
Oh, we've had some nightmares. Yeah. But I mean, it happens over 100 plus episodes.
It's part of the game. It's part of podcasting. So yeah, just know that we tried to put one out there. It's just Michael's end of the audio. He recorded through his computer as opposed to through the mixer and the microphone, so you wouldn't even want to listen to it. It would just be frustrating. So.
Oh, it was terrible. It was like I was on a cyber phone call. Yeah. It was awful sound. You could hear every little click of my keyboard as I was like searching things. And, it was awful, man. It was awful.
Yeah.
So yeah, we saved y'all from that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't like it's not like we recorded Pablo Escobar and it went phenomenal or anything like that. It was just your basic serial killer It didn't, it wasn't like a mind-blowing episode anyway. It would have been nice to get it out there, but whatever. We're moving on. This train keeps rolling. What can you do?
That's
You
right.
just gotta
You
keep
guys
trucking,
deserve
right?
better quality.
Life's a
They
garden,
deserve
dig
a
it.
better quality.
Yeah.
Life's a garden. Dig it.
I
Right,
love
turn
Joe.
off the news. Build a garden.
I love pulling out Joe Dirt quotes every now and then. It's not number 2, number 1, of course.
Right.
Joe
Number
Dirt
2
2
is
is a
garbage.
piece of garbage.
Right.
All right,
You
let's
like-
do this.
All right, man. Let's get into it.
Pablo Escobar. Kick in the intro, Michael.
All right.
The main ideology of our movement is public spirit, nationalism, social programs, environmental issues, and athletic programs. I seek peace, and I've always preached peace, and I have longed for peace. Pablo Escobar. This is the story of La Patron. He loves his family and he calls it home in Colombia. Robin Hood, hero of Medellin. Some just call him the king of cocaine in Colombia. Some folks don't see it that way, especially here in the USA. We got some guys at the DEA that would call you. Some folks don't see it that way, especially here in the USA. We got some guys at the DEA that would call you a narco-terrorist. It's the story of La Patron. He loves his family and he calls it home in Colombia. Narco-terrorist, Robin Hood, hero of Medellin. Some just call him the king of cocaine in Colombia. Narco-terrorist.
All right, so our case this week is the legend Pablo Escobar. We've both watched the show Narcos, season 1. I've watched a lot of season 2 when it went into the Cali Cartel. But there's just nothing like season 1. The actor that played Pablo was captivating.
Yes, he was.
Amazing show on Netflix original. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check out Narcos, based on Pablo Escobar.
I felt like after season 1, I was content. I was like, that's all I wanted to see right there. That's cool with me. I'm happy
Right.
with that show right now. They just did it all in one season. I'm impressed.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you just need to wrap it up.
That's right.
Breaking Bad did that a good job. They just kind of ended it. It didn't need to keep going. There's some shows like The Walking Dead just keep going, and it becomes kind of a funny thing that it's named The Walking Dead, because I felt like that show was just Walking Dead for many years. Where it's like they just keep putting out episodes and no one cares anymore. Like after the season where Shane and Rick had their fucking whole battle and Rick killed. Spoiler alert, this was years ago, but
Yeah. Like
once
season
Shane
2.
died on the farm or whatever, after that I just kind of lost interest.
You lost interest after Shane died on the farm?
Yeah, bro, the show. I mean, I still watched like the prison season. It was okay, but it just started getting cornier and cornier. But Shane and Rick, that dynamic, that tension between the two of them, that was what I was tuning in for. Man, that shit was good.
That was
And
cool.
that actor who played Shane in that, I can't think of his name, but he was in like Fury and a bunch of other movies.
He played the Punisher. He was
played
he's
the
new
Punisher. Did a
right?
great. He's an amazing actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, back to the case at hand. After season 1, like you said, it was still a good show. It was just, no. I just felt like, yeah, I'm good. I wanted the Pablo Escobar story and like the hunt for him and the actors that played the drug were they DEA?
Yeah.
They were hunting him down.
They were DEA
Those two
agents,
guys, Pena and I forget the other guy.
Steve Murphy? Is that right?
Yeah,
Steve Murphy.
something like that. I think it was Steve. I don't know. Great actors as well. Such a good show. And for this case, I mean, I watched that show a long time ago, so there was not a whole lot that I remembered as far as like helping me to study for this.
Right.
Other than the overall vibe of how powerful he was and how hard it was for them to get him. I got the book Killing Pablo by Mark Bowden in Audible form.
Nice.
Very good, detailed account of the time period in Colombia and Pablo Escobar's rise to power, his ultimate, them finally law enforcement finally taking him down.
Man.
A lot of help from the U.S. government and all that.
You know
finally
what?
getting to him.
I was gonna say overall, I feel like the show Narcos is pretty accurate though. I
for
recalled a
sure.
lot of stuff because I went back and I watched some documentaries. There's one that's just called Pablo Escobar biography, and it's like and it's like a little over an hour or something on YouTube. And
And you're watching it and you're like, I already knew all this shit
yeah,
from Narcos.
I'm like, I know all this stuff from Narcos, but where are all the sex scenes? I'm like
right.
I mean, aside from the sex scene every 5 minutes, yeah, it was pretty accurate. But that's probably pretty accurate as well.
Even in the show, they kept bringing, like at the beginning of the episodes, it was almost like one of my favorite series of all times, Band of Brothers, the HBO miniseries. They, in the beginning of the episodes of Narcos, much like in Band of Brothers, they would bring in in Band of Brothers, they would bring in the real people who were like the show was based on, like the real people that fought in World War II, were part of the 101st Airborne. But in the early, like in the beginning of the episodes of Narcos, they would show like real footage of the hunt for Pablo Escobar. They would show real footage of Pablo. They would show real like news footage of the shit that was going on between his guys fighting the government in Colombia. Like he was very close to running that country, like for a while there. Like it was a full-on war between his narcos and the government of Colombia, you know. And
Right.
also he had tons of people, officials that were paid off, and tons of policia that were paid off, and crazy.
Oh yeah, he was running shit. You know what one of my favorite scenes is though, and they show it all the time on the Narcos intro, is that one where he's riding in like that parade of dirt bikes. That's such a badass
Dude, the
scene.
best, because he had like a 63-acre farm, or no, the acre wasn't. It was way more than that. I think he paid 63 million or something like that.
Okay.
Back in like in the late 70s, early 80s, or whatever, for that fucking farm that he had. And yeah, it was like sprawling. He had rhinoes and
Yes.
we'll
He had, like,
get into all
giraffes.
that. Dude, what a life. Unbelievable.
But that dirt bike freaking parade, that's just from my dreams, man. I would just love to get
Right.
together with all my friends and be able to buy them all dirt
Dude,
bikes and just go
That's the
riding.
shit, right?
Like,
That is the shit. Endless money. You're riding through rhinos and
yeah.
fucking dolphins. Not what am I saying? Dolphins. I'm
Freaking
a fucking
kicking at
moron.
each other like nothing bad could ever happen in a parade of dirt bikes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of safari animals, and I say dolphin. He's riding dirt
Dolphins
bikes through
swimming
dolphins.
out there in the savannah.
Yeah, you guys listen to me. I'm that dumb. How good is the intro though for that show? It gets stuck in my head. I'll just randomly
It's
start
beautiful.
singing that, and it's all in Spanish. I can't even understand it, but my God, it's so good.
I love that Spanish guitar, man. It's so
Dude.
it's just it's hypnotizing.
It's so catchy. Like I feel like I can almost sing that song and in the Spanish words, and I don't even know what the hell they mean.
It is. It's a beautiful language, man.
That being said, I learned some stuff from studying this case and from the book, and that I feel like the one way that show screwed up a little bit is like the actor that played Pablo was phenomenal, but he almost was too. His expressions on his face and like his acting, he was almost too contemplative and like he seemed to be too calculated and smart.
Okay.
But when I studied Pablo, he was just a thug, gangster, scary. Like he only got to his position by fear and like very much like a mob boss, where it's like, where he just kind of like came in and pushed his way in, not so much with smarts, but with just fear. He was just basically, everyone was afraid he was gonna kill him, and that's how he got to where he was. And it wasn't like he just kind of like manipulated his way, or he was so smart. Like he was a dumb dude, and you see it in his face when you see real footage. I'm like, oh, I can see this is a dumb dude. Like,
Well, when you had
he's just got dull eyes. Like he's not like as like I said, like thought provoking as like the actor that played him in the show. Like in the show, you seem like he was this mastermind, but he really wasn't.
Right. Well, you can't. It's hard to really call someone persuasive when their power of persuasion is killing you and your entire family. Like that's not very smart. Like when that's on the table, of course you're gonna move up and manipulate people and have power. Of course. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not like Gus Fring from Breaking Bad. You know what I mean? Where he's getting into politics just a little bit.
He was
here,
much
a
more
little bit,
like
much more
Tuco
contemplated.
Salamanca in that show.
Oh yeah,
He was
good
much more
comparison.
Tuco than he was Gus.
Way more Tuco. Yeah. Yeah.
There's always a way to reference Breaking Bad in any life situation.
I
right?
hope so. I do it all the time.
All right, so let's dive into it. Pablo Escobar was a Colombian drug lord whose ruthless ambition, until his death, implicated his wife, daughter, and son in the notorious Medellin Cartel. He was a Colombian drug trafficker who eventually controlled over 80% of the cocaine shipped to the U.S., earning him the rank of one of Forbes magazine's 10 wealthiest people in the world. They actually, I saw an interesting thing in a documentary I watched on YouTube that actually said that they, at a certain point, he was responsible for bringing so much coke into the U.S. that it started to like become like really
The
cheap.
price went down.
Yeah, the price went down
Yeah.
because they were so successful bringing so much in that it was like it was just oversaturation
They
of
flooded the
coke, and it's
market,
when it
man.
started going down. Yeah. Escobar entered the cocaine trade in the early 1970s, collaborating with other criminals to form the Medellin Cartel. And I'll probably butcher some of these Spanish names and these Colombian town names, and
Right.
but that's to par for the course for our show.
That's right.
He earned popularity by sponsoring charity projects and soccer clubs, but later terror campaigns that resulted in the murder of thousands turned public opinion against him. Yeah, so for a while he was looked at that as sort of a Robin Hood figure, taking money from the rich capitalist U.S. and bringing it into Colombia for the people, and spreading the wealth and all that stuff. But he was really doing it for notoriety and for a good public image, because he knew that if he had the backing of the people, he had a good chance at making it into politics, and then he
Right.
could end up really kind of like ruling the country as he wanted.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people wonder why he was so popular and why he was received that way. And that's because I think it's mainly because the Colombians didn't see themselves as having a drug problem. Like
Right.
they weren't being controlled by cocaine or whatever. They didn't see that as an issue. So they thought,
Their
well,
beautiful country was providing this thing that could
yes,
be turned into money and really
Exactly.
steal wealth from the evil
they
United
thought
States.
they thought of it as like alcohol before prohibition. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they thought of it the same way. They're like, oh man, we're going to be ahead of the game. We're going to be business giants. Because we're providing this need in society, and it's not affecting our society. So
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Yeah. Let's talk about his early life. He was born on December 1st, 1949. Ah, shit, I forgot to pull up celebrity birthdays.
That's my
Give me
sister's
2 seconds.
birthday. She's not a celebrity though.
It's Michael's sister.
There you
His
go.
birthday. She's more famous than any of these YouTube kids.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Let's see. December 1st birthdays. We got a bunch of people I don't know. Let's see. Who the hell's Mumbo Jumbo?
No clue. That
20
literally sounds
23-year-old.
like you just made that up. It sounds like you didn't care about their names so much.
Bunch of
You're
mumbo
like,
jumbo.
Who's this
fucking
mumbo
nobody.
jumbo?
Here we go. Sarah Silverman. I love Sarah
Oh,
Silverman.
okay, Sarah Silverman, nice.
She's hilarious. Richard Pryor. What? We'll just
What?
end on that.
There you go.
We'll just end on that. That's beautiful.
Two great comedians right there.
Hell
That's
yeah,
good.
man. Yeah, so Escobar shares a birthday with them. He was born, so I said December 1st, 1949, in the Colombian city of Rio Negro and Antioquia. I'm going to butcher all these. Later, his family later moved to the suburb of Envigado. Escobar, so he grew up he was middle class, actually. He grew up in kind of like sprawling farmlands just outside of Medellin, which was we'll get into just how freaking violent and dangerous Medellin was, and just Colombia during this time. He grew up in a time of just violence everywhere. He came from a modest family. His father worked as a peasant farmer while his mother was a school teacher. From an early age, Escobar packed a unique ambition to raise himself up from his humble beginnings. When Pablo was 2 years old, his family moved to Envigado, a suburb of Medellin. And as we briefly mentioned, Medellin was, or I'm sure I'm butchering that pronunciation. Medellin?
It's Medellin.
Medellin? Yeah, I'm making it very
Medellin.
white.
Yeah, because it's got two L's at the end, so it's a
Medellin.
Y sound. Yeah,
Medellin. And we're going to use that. We're going to say that a lot because that was kind of his city. It was particularly violent, however, during the 50s when Pablo was a child. It was the time known as La Valencia, or the violence. It was a 10-year civil war in Colombia from 1948 to 1958 between the Colombian Conservative Party and the Colombian Liberal Party, fought mainly in the countryside. During this period, rural town police and political leaders encouraged conservative supporting peasants to seize the agricultural lands of liberal supporting peasants, which provoked peasant-to-peasant violence throughout Colombia. Due to incomplete or non-existent statistical records, exact measurement of La Valencia's humanitarian consequences is impossible to determine. Scholars, however, estimate that between 200,000 and 300,000 lives were lost, 600,000 to 800,000 were injured, and almost 1 million people were displaced. La Valencia directly or indirectly affected 20% of the population of Colombia. La Valencia did not acquire its name simply because of the number of people it affected. It was the manner in which most of the killings, maimings, and dismemberings were done. Certain death and torture techniques became so commonplace that they were given names. For example, Picar para Tamal, which involved slowly cutting up a living person's body, or Baca Quayar, I'm butchering them, which where hundreds of small punctures were made until the victim slowly bled to death. So just these really horrifying ways of butchering people for public display.
Yikes, that's like some Vlad the Impaler shit right there, man.
Yeah, no, it was very, very bad. Here's a quote from the time. Indigenous forms of quartering and beheading were invented and given such names as the Colombian necktie and so on. Crucifixions and hangings were commonplace. Political prisoners were thrown from airplanes in flight. Infants were bayoneted. Schoolgirls, some as young as 8 years old, were raped. Unborn infants were removed by crude cesarean section and replaced by roosters. Ears were cut off, scalps removed, and so on. So this is a time period and time or a place in the world where Pablo Escobar was raised. So
I just don't see why he turned out so badly.
right, he's raised in such a.
I mean, he had everything.
In such a beautiful environment with, where a person could really raise up and be a good person.
This is a lovely countryside of death.
Escobar reportedly began his life of crime early, stealing tombstones and selling phony diplomas. He was known to create phony diplomas and documents for himself throughout life. He had been expelled from school and never actually graduated. So I think it was his grandfather. He had been around his grandfather or someone in his family who made headstones for a living, and so he kind of got this idea to use what was it? What are those things called? The power washers or something like that.
Oh, pressure washers?
Something along those lines to remove. He would go steal them, and then he would use a power washer to remove the engravings and then re-engrave them for people.
Whoa. What they engrave it with? A Sharpie? How do you remove an engraving? That's crazy.
Well, they would power wash them until, because it's like stone and they would carve into it. So if you take a layer off, then you could engrave them again with whatever.
And what would he engrave on them?
Whatever the new person that he was selling it to needed, their loved one's name and stuff about their life.
That would be a great way to intimidate people. Just like steal a gravestone and put their name on it and just put it in their front yard.
Oh, God, yes.
Just to remind them.
I could totally see him doing shit like that later on.
Right?
Like to a judge or an attorney that could potentially lock him up.
Exactly.
They would do similar stuff to judges and people in law enforcement.
Oh my God. The anybody who's in the Colombian version of the FBI, I can't remember what it's called off my head. Off the top of my head, but
I know what you're talking about.
Oh my God, those dudes, they probably never slept a wink during
the
that,
one
man.
dude, the head of the Colombian FBI, he had attempted hits on his life 8 times, and he ended up surviving it. I watched that in the documentary.
Yeah, that was insane. He had a freaking Floyd Mayweather entourage with him, armed all the time.
Yep. Pablo later was known to have bookshelves filled with impressive books that he never read but wanted others to believe that he had read.
That's an interesting fact.
I found that
right
fact
there.
kind of funny.
That's an
Made sure I
interesting
threw that
fact.
in the crime line. It wasn't long before he started stealing cars, then moving into the smuggling business. He made his way into these trades not by cleverness, as we had brought up, but by fear and by force, much like a mobster. His first arrest, and this is the famous headshot that you see, or what do they call those that we have in our picture?
Mugshots?
Mugshot, yeah. The famous mugshot of him when he's younger, when he's got the 5 o'clock shadow. I think Joe Rogan actually just got one of these for his studio, a picture of Pablo, his first arrest.
Yeah.
This arrest of that famous mugshot came while making a run of cocoa paste from the Andes Mountains to a drug factory in Medellin. He used to do this on a daily basis, and he would race his cousin in cars up the mountain to get, and the winner would get the proceeds from that day's haul. So he was delivering cocoa paste, making his way into the drug business. He eventually got out of the charges on a technicality, and this would be something that would continue on for many years, getting out of criminal charges constantly.
Oh, of course.
By instilling fear into either a judge or the attorney, or finding some loophole in the system.
Well, don't you think the people he was working for had a lot of pull in this too? You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
no
they probably
doubt.
helped get him out. And then when you can't deny that Pablo he had a lot of charisma. He had a lot of potential, and
Right.
these other drug lords saw that in him.
Well, he
So
was
they probably
fearless. That went a
yeah,
long way.
exactly. He's a hell of a soldier. So they're
Yep.
gonna do what they got to do to get him out.
Yeah, I mean he was hell bent on he was gonna make something of himself. He was gonna be a powerful, well known man, and he knew it was gonna come through some kind of criminal means, knowing based off the country he grew up in. I mean that was kind of like the quickest path to becoming powerful. You know,
Mm-hmm.
also like if you grow up in the projects, if you grow up in Chicago, it really in any times, even still to this day, if you grow up in a really low income area, like the quickest way to make yourself powerful is by selling drugs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Escobar's
Or a
early
YouTube
prominence
channel.
or YouTube that gives another outlet to these young
Right.
people. But then you got to have internet and a computer and all that shit. Maybe you don't.
That's true.
Escobar's early prominence came during the Wars. That's a tongue twister. Say that 3 times fast. I've always struggled with that word, Marlboro, the cigarette
Marl-
company.
Marlboro. It's like if when I see it written, it's worse. But
Say
when I
that
just
with a
say it,
cigarette in your mouth.
Marlboro.
Marlboro. Maybe you have to. Maybe
Marlboro.
that's the trick. They name their company something that can only be said with their product in your mouth. Marlboro.
So you better not burn that last one before you go buy another pack, because then you can't
Right.
even order them, right? It's like,
Yeah. So as I was saying, his early prominence came during the Marlboro Wars, in which he played a high-profile role in the control of Colombia's smuggle. It's just fucking all my. I can't say it. I can't say any words anymore. Yeah, he became a high-profile role in the control of Colombia's smuggled cigarette market. This episode proved to be a valuable training ground for the future narcotics kingpin. He made his first $1 million by the age of 22. That's a good start to life, huh?
he must have won a lot of those races going up that mountain, man.
Right?
You know he did. He did like to go fast. You
He was
seen
a
him
little
on
swindler,
everything.
man. He was
Well, yeah.
running all kinds of rackets as a teenager,
Yeah, that's true.
and
true, it was.
and just made his way into with some powerful people. Well, it's kind of like Goodfellas, I think. Like he just kind of like at a young age got in with the powerful older folks that were in the drug business, and established himself by being, like you said, a good soldier. And then
Yep.
and then once he got powerful enough to get up with the more powerful people, he would start bullying them and scaring them, and he would kill them if he had to. And we'll get into some of that. He really like his power shot up after murdering allegedly the most powerful man around at the time, and kind of put him in that seat, much like Game of Thrones.
That's how it works, right? I mean, you
yeah.
want to be the top dog, you have to take the top dog out, man, one way or
Yep.
another.
Yep.
That's the way it
In
works.
1976, Pablo married 15-year-old Maria Victoria Henao, or I guess Henao would be how it's pronounced. The couple had 2 children together, a son named Juan Pablo and a daughter named Manuela. Today, Escobar's son is a motivational speaker who goes by the name Sebastian Marroquin. Marroquin studied architecture and published a book in 2015 called Pablo Escobar, My Father, which tells the story of growing up with the world's most notorious drug kingpin. He also asserts that his father had committed suicide. I don't
I
know
believe
if I
that.
believe
I
that.
think you don't think so?
On the rooftop
Yeah,
with the DA
I
crushing
think
down
so,
on him.
man. I think that's like the perfect way to go.
Well, I
He
mean,
went out on a rooftop. I mean,
I
come on.
guess suicide by force though. Like they were there
Yeah.
about to shoot him, so
Oh
maybe.
yeah, well he's gonna go down fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like he was
Right.
prepared to die that day.
Okay, so suicide by cop essentially is what he
Yes,
said. Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Here's a quote from his son. My father's not a person to be intimidated. Marquin said in Agence France press interview, he showed us the path we must never take as a society because it's the path to self-destruction, the loss of values, and a place where life ceases to have importance. That's very well said from the son of a madman.
Yeah, it is. It's very
Good
it's
for
very
him.
insightful.
Turning this
Yeah.
into some good.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the Medellin Cartel. Medellin Cartel. Sorry, Mike.
There you go. You got it.
It wasn't by chance that Colombia came to dominate the cocaine trade. Beginning in the early 1970s, the country became a prime smuggling ground for marijuana. But as the cocaine market flourished, Colombia's geographical location proved to be its biggest asset. Situated at the northern tip of South America between the thriving cocoa cultivation epicenters of Peru and Bolivia, the country came to dominate the global cocaine trade, with the United States the biggest market for the drug, just a short trip to the north. Escobar moved quickly to grab control of the cocaine trade. In 1975, drug trafficker Fabio Restrepo from the city of Medellin, Colombia, was murdered. And that's the man I was talking about that was very powerful,
Right.
who basically was sitting in the position that Pablo wanted, got suspiciously murdered, and Pablo didn't outright admit it, but he also didn't deny it. So he kind of left it like everyone to speculate and assume it was him, which
I
kind of,
think,
in a way, made him even scarier.
I was about to say, even if
he's
he
not
didn't do
denying
it,
it, but
yeah, even if he didn't do it, it still looks good to have people think you did.
right.
Either way, which he definitely did it, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. Something there was a interesting thing that a book, Killing Pablo, brought up in the beginning when they were talking about Colombia during this time. They said that people in this country believe that it was like they're very religious, and they were saying that they believe that because Colombia is like one of the richest like countries as far as like natural beauty and what
And
the country has
resources.
is and resources and all that, that it like life's balance and God's balance was to make them like as a culture and as a people like the most violent people on earth. Like the murder rate in this country and all that was just like it was just death everywhere all the time and chaos.
So
It was,
so
it
it's
was
like the
life's
price you
balance.
pay.
Yeah, it was like the price you pay for having the most beautiful country was also having like the most violent people.
Wow.
It does seem like
Interesting.
life has that weird balance though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. His killing, so the killing of Fabio Restrepo, it's believed came at the orders of Escobar, who immediately seized power and expanded Restrepo's operation into something the world had never seen. Under Escobar's leadership, large amounts of cocoa paste were purchased in Bolivia and Peru, processed and transported to America. Escobar worked with a small group to form the infamous Medellin Cartel. By the mid 80s, Escobar had an estimated net worth of 30 billion and was named one of the 10 richest people on earth by Forbes. Cash was so prevalent that Escobar purchased a Learjet for the sole purpose of flying his money.
How else you gonna get it there, man?
Dude, a Learjet, yeah, you can fit a lot of kilos on that shit.
Yeah, I think so.
I
think
feel
he
like
had
that
more
looks
than
less
one.
suspicious too. If you've got like a full-on like jetliner, like just you could just assume that's just a flight, carrying people.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, he got away with it a lot. He had way more
Oh, yeah.
successful flights than not successful.
He got
That's-
I mean, they were shipping so much and making so much money that even if some of these planes they looked at it like, well, if a few planes here and there get seized, they almost like did it on purpose. They almost wanted some to get seized just so the cops
Yeah.
in America felt like they were doing their job and they felt good about themselves.
right, and that's
But it's
just
like
less
it's
money you have to
it's a
bury
drip in the
or
bucket,
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, less money you have to bury and burn. It's kind of like
Right.
you're really doing them a favor getting rid of some of that money.
Thank you, Jesus. Haul it off. Oh my God.
At the time, Escobar controlled more than 80% of the cocaine smuggled into the United States. More than 15 tons were reportedly smuggled in each day, netting the Medellin cartel as much as 420 million a week. So
That's
that
crazy.
number I said of his net worth being 30 billion, that doesn't seem all that crazy when you think 420 million a week, and how much of that is he seeing? Quite a bit, you'd imagine.
Yes.
Most of it, I would say, of that 420 is going directly to fucking Pablo's estate.
Dude, that's 60 million a day, right?
Right? Yeah.
60 million
So-
a
yeah.
day.
So crazy, dude.
Ugh, I'm in the wrong business, bro.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, the podcasting, man, it's not that lucrative.
it's not that lucrative. No.
As Escobar's fortune and fame grew, he dreamed to be seen as a leader. In some ways, he positioned himself as a Robin Hood-like figure, which was echoed by many locals as he spent money to expand social programs for the poor. Let's talk about his short-lived stint in politics, which just created this big chip on his shoulder because he wasn't really accepted into that field.
Oh,
As
I
a
wonder
young
why.
man, Escobar told friends and family that he wanted to become president of Colombia, yet as he saw it, his path to wealth and legitimacy lay in crime. In 1982, Escobar was elected as alternate member of Colombia's Congress, but the reasons for his wealth could not stay hidden, and 2 years after his election, he was forced to resign. The justice minister who revealed Escobar's notorious background was, of course, later slain. Oh,
Oh.
my computer decided to remind me that I have an elk hunt in a few days.
Oh, thank you, computer.
I totally forgot about that. Asshole. Yeah, so the justice minister that had outed him as to how he made his money, as if it wasn't already known, but it was just like put out there. It was put out there in a way that he couldn't deny it. And it
Right.
kind of ruined his chances at being a politician and being ultimately the president of Colombia. And so, of course, he had him killed. He had these hitmen. It's so scary to think, like, when you look at the streets of Medellin, Colombia, and like, it's a bunch of these like townhomes and everything, and and they're like these small roads where you can barely fit a car, and he
Yeah.
had these hitmen that were riding around on like enduros, like these motorcycle slash dirt bike hybrids,
Yep.
and it was like, if you've watched, like, it was a stupid comparison, but like if you've seen Fast and Furious, like the dudes that were riding around on the motorcycles that were like Yakuza or whatever with like machine guns. It was kind of like that. Like they were, and if you've seen Narcos, you've seen it as well.
Oh, yeah,
But like
you've seen it.
they could get around so good on these little streets on these motorcycles, and they would just ride up alongside you in traffic and just machine gun you. And
Yep.
if they took out some other people, it didn't matter to them. He
Nope.
was ruthless, in that Pablo would kill your whole family or anybody in the way to get to you. He did not care about killing at all.
Right. And these guys that were performing these murders, a lot of them were like barely teenagers, man. These were kids.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
they were prepared to die for Pablo already. So it's like, they commit the murder. They all split off in different ways down alleys. Like, how do you
And they
defend
had the
against
same
this?
mentality that he had when he was young, and that like this was their quickest way to establish themselves and become known and get money, and like, what else are they going to do? They're growing up in
Yep.
this country where it was like violence everywhere, and they
Oh,
may as
yeah.
well join it and get a part of it and at least get something out of it, as opposed to be a victim of it.
They're probably getting paid for one hit what they would make in a year. Or
Yeah.
I may even be underestimating it, honestly.
And honestly, I don't know if they had a choice. I kind of look at it like the Mexican Cartel episode we did, where
Right.
it was like if you're a young man, you're gonna get indoctrinated into this life of crime, or you're gonna become a victim of it. It's like you have to join us.
And also
Type of
look at the way it's pitched to them.
Right.
They're growing up in the streets of Medellin. They have no other options. Their family is poor, and they're thinking, man, this amount of money that I could make for killing this one wealthy man who we probably blame for being in the situation in the first place, can set up my family for life. It could change our
Exactly.
lives. It could change not only mine, but my whole family's lives.
Yeah, and I get
So-
protection for my family.
And you have
know,
protection. That's right. As long as
Because
you
as
remain
long as you're
loyal.
in good graces with Pablo, if something happened to your family, he's gonna get. I'd imagine he would have that retaliated against. So it's protection.
Yes, it is.
I think early on, actually, I just remembered this from either the book or the documentary. I think Pablo was actually offering. This is part of like his rise. It's a very mobster tactic. Early on, there were so many carjackings and so many like taxis getting stolen, like just car robberies. He was taking part in it. Like that was where he was making money early on, was stealing cars and then having them stripped and selling the car parts and shit.
Yeah.
And one way he was making money was like very mob tactic. He was offering protection to people, like auto theft protection. Like, your car won't get stolen if you pay me your tribute every week or whatever. And like if
And it
people
was him
refuse to
stealing the
pay,
cars.
if people refuse to pay, he would carjack them. A lot of times, kill them, and then go sell their car parts. And so, very mob tactics.
Right.
But that's
Oh,
the streets
man.
these kids are growing up in, and it's look how easy it would be to be, sucked into this life.
Oh, absolutely. They don't have a choice.
Yeah. So let's get into his life of murder. How many people did Escobar kill? Escobar was responsible for the killing of thousands of people, including politicians, civil servants, journalists, and ordinary citizens. When he realized that he had no shot at becoming Colombia's president, and with the United States pushing for his capture and extradition, Escobar unleashed his fury on enemies in the hopes of influencing Colombian politics. His goal was no extradition clause and amnesty for drug barons in exchange for giving up the trade. So the one fear he had, it seemed, it wasn't death, it was being extradited and put in a real prison. Because later we will see, by fighting against extradition and kind of winning that battle by force, he was able to do things like have his own prison built and kind of turn
Yes.
himself in and live this life of luxury in his own prison with jacuzzis and women to have sex with, and have his family come in for family day and all that shit. Like, his biggest fear was that the U.S. was going to get their hands on him and they were going to legally be able to extradite him to the U.S. and put him in maximum security prison, and he was gonna have to live that life because he's
Dude,
just used to the life of luxury, dude, living on his
Yes, he
estate,
is.
and he's got all the money in the world and anything he wants.
Man, he could have lived that life though. He could have kept living that life in that prison if he wouldn't have taken it too far.
Right. Oh, I
You know
know.
what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you will. Yeah, we'll get to that. He
Right.
he has some people
That's
brought there and murdered, and
that's
that
what
kind of
blows my
ruined the party.
mind. It's like at that point, it's like, Pablo, you won. You won.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
you still get to go. Your business is still running. You can
Yep.
keep moving it, putting a new face in front of it, whatever. You're in prison. They can't blame you, and they have to protect you.
Yep.
Like you won.
Yep. Exactly. But that's what happens when you're when you have that much power your whole life.
Yeah.
And like
You
we've
don't
seen
want
with
any
serial killers, you get
boundaries.
cocky, and then that's where you fuck up, and
They don't
that's
want
what,
any
that's what
boundaries.
happens. Yep. They can't be told what to do. It's their ego and their narcissism. It's alleged that Escobar backed the 1985 storming of the Colombian Supreme Court by left-wing guerrillas from the 19th of April movement, also known as M19. This is a huge event. You've seen footage of it with the tanks storming the Supreme Court and killing a bunch of officials in there. The siege, a retaliation motivated by the Supreme Court studying the constitutionality of Colombia's extradition treaty with the U.S., resulted in the murders of half of the judges in the court. M19 were
Jesus.
paid to break into the palace and burn all the papers and files on Los Extraditables, a group of cocaine smugglers who were under threat of being extradited to the U.S. by the Colombian government. Escobar was listed as part of the Los Extraditables. Hostages were also taken for negotiation on their release, thus helping to prevent extradition of Los Extraditables to the U.S. for their crimes. So all of these narcos, these drug lords were really afraid that this was about to get passed in Supreme Court, and so basically they stormed it with tanks and a bunch of basically like soldiers with weapons, and basically got rid of all the papers that were it made it impossible for this to get passed essentially, and killed a bunch of the judges. And of course, now who wants to be a part of passing it in the future because they're afraid they're going to
Right.
be the next victim.
Yeah, he just stormed he just stormed the previous judges with a tank in the
Yep.
middle of the day.
Yeah.
Like who is safe right now?
Right.
Nobody's safe from him in Cuba.
Yep. Escobar's terror campaign claimed the
Colombia.
lives of 3 Colombian presidential candidates, an attorney general, scores of judges, and more than 1,000 police officers. In addition, Escobar was implicated in the mastermind behind the bombing of a Colombian jetliner in 1989 that killed more than 100 people. So on this plane, I don't even know. I think what happened is the person that he was trying to take out wasn't even on the plane. He ended up just killing over 100 innocent people on a plane.
Yes,
Literally
he
had a
did.
plane blown up. So
I remember that in the Narcos.
Yeah,
in
I'm not
season
so
1.
sure Robin Hood would do that. I don't know. Call me crazy.
Nah, he wouldn't do that, man.
Let's talk about Haim. How was his name pronounced again? Jaime. I think it was Jaime Ramirez Gomez. He was an official of the National Police in Colombia. He was a big part of the fight against the drug kingpins and all of this smuggling that was going on to the U.S. He was an official of the National Police of Colombia who led a fight against illegal drug trade in Colombia from the 1970s and onward. He became the national director of the Colombian Drug Enforcement Unit, working with the Minister of Justice, Rodrigo Lara Bonilla, against the Medellin Cartel. The biggest blow against the cartel was dealt by Colonel Ramirez on March 7, 1984, in an operation involving the DEA to locate and destroy a large cocaine production camp in the jungle of the Yari River, known by the cartel as Tranquilandia, or the Tranquil Land.
Tranquilandia, probably.
Tranquilandia, or
Yeah.
the Tranquil Land in English. I think this was also in Narcos, right, where they took out that big camp?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It triggered direct hostiles by the cartel against the Colombian state, commencing with the murders of Minister Lara Bonilla.
You remember how they did this, right?
How did they do it?
He was getting a big order of ether from the United States.
Oh, yes.
And when the FBI, or the DEA rather, put a tracker on one of the barrels and sent it back. And
Oh, was
they
that with the famous smuggler that Tom Cruise had a movie? What was his name?
Yeah, I think so. They got it
Oh,
called the
what was his
Lion or
name?
whatever. I
Yeah,
think.
or the Fat
I can't.
Man was what they would call him.
Yeah,
Damn it! I'm
he.
sorry. I kept watching stuff about this guy. We could actually do an episode on him.
Oh yeah, that dude's got an interesting life too.
Yeah,
But it
hold
was
on. Let
so
me look
cool
him
the
up.
way they did that, man. The way they tracked the barrels back to the tranquil land, and then they used those very barrels of ether to set fire to everything they built there, and it was a factory. It was like a full-fledged cocaine
Barry Seal.
production factory.
Barry Seal.
Barry Seal. Okay, cool.
Yeah, hold on. Let's read a little description about him. Barry Seal was a Trans World Airlines pilot who became a major smuggler for the Medellin Cartel. When Seal was convicted of smuggling charges, he became an informant for the DEA and testified on several major drug trials. He was murdered in 1986 by contract killers hired by Pablo Escobar. They finally caught up with him. Uh, and yeah, his life was crazy. Big part of this story and helped the DEA a lot. According to statements Seal made after becoming a DEA informant, he began smuggling small quantities of cannabis. By 1978, he had begun flying significant loads of cocaine because pound for pound it was more profitable. In December 1979, he was arrested in Honduras after returning from a drug smuggling trip to Ecuador. He was imprisoned until 1980, and undeterred by his arrest, he expanded his operations upon returning to the United States. And he later began working with the Medellin Cartel. As a pilot and drug smuggler, he transported numerous shipments of cocaine from Colombia to Panama to the United States. He was the most successful one. He had done more than 50 flights, and he was earning as much as $1.3 million per flight.
Damn. So many people
Unbelievable.
got rich off this.
And he was also like he kept it like his identity hidden from the cartel and everything. Like he only communicated through like payphones and stuff like that. That's why they only knew him as the Fat Man,
Right.
and that's how he ultimately was able to stay in hiding for so long before they finally found him and killed him.
Yeah, it was smart. It was smart.
Yeah, but Jaime Gomez, the guy we were talking about with the official of Colombia who was helping to fight this, they took out that big camp in the jungle of the Yari River. It triggered direct hostiles by the cartel against the Colombian state. Escobar's terror eventually turned public opinion against him and caused a breakup of the alliance of drug traffickers. And Colonel Ramirez's success against drug cartels brought him to the position of director of the Colombian Drug Enforcement Unit at the same moment that the political leader Bonilla, a bitter enemy of drug cartels and corruption, was promoted to the position of Minister of Justice by the presidency. And Ramirez and Lara assembled a team. So they're really fighting back now. Like they're not putting up with all the corruption and guys like Pablo paying off Policia and all that stuff. They've now at the highest position of power in Colombia are actually actively trying to fight this, and they're working with the United States. They discovered that the cartels were using several aircraft and legal airports to export illegal drugs to the United States and Europe. With that information, Minister Laura ordered the suspension of any flight that was seen as suspicious, dealing a heavy blow to the cartel's operations, as well as denouncing dirty money in different political parties and even in sport teams. Yeah, a lot of the sporting teams were like funded by, like I want to say Pablo had like his own professional soccer team, right?
Oh, I'm sure he did. I know he had like a soccer complex
Yeah, and he would have
on his.
games
Yeah.
where he was participating, and he would pay like announcers to like talk him up during the game.
That's
Look at
awesome.
Pablo,
That's
he's
like,
unstoppable.
that's like some John DuPont stuff right there.
Yeah, right. It so is totally. With the destruction of Tranquilandia, the cartel declared war on the Colombian state, starting with the murder of Minister Laura on April 30th, 1984, 7 weeks after the seizure of the cocaine production camp. That was a big moment, man. When he decided to take out the minister, this
Yeah.
really like empowered the United States, and they kind of like started pushing to go after him even more. The death of Minister Laura brought terrible consequences for both Colombia and for the cartel leaders, who as a result became a target of international persecution. Colombia was deeply divided between those who accepted the drug cartel's corruption and those who joined the fight against it, many times without the support of the state. Although the Medellin Cartel was damaged, it was powerful and began a chain of murders against political leaders, judges, police, and journalists, anyone who dared to stand up against it. Colonel Ramirez's name was put on the hit list of the cartel, and it did not rest until it broke through his security to avenge the damage he did to its criminal network. On November 17th, 1986, when he was returning with his family to Bogota, men in a green Renault 18 began to shoot at his car on a bridge between the municipalities of Mosquera and Fabina. Taking advantage of the fact that he was without a convoy, Colonel Ramirez lost control of his car, crashed against a rock not far from a police station. The assassins approached his car and shot him in front of his wife and sons. Yeah, in the documentary I watched, his wife was discussing this event, how she was riding with her husband, Colonel.
Right. I remember this too. This is heartbreaking.
Yeah, and they're literally talking about their future, like what they're gonna do with their lives and all this stuff. And she's like, "That's when it happened."
Dude, it seems like that's how it always happens, like in movies, you know? They're
right.
Like, everything's going to be okay. And you see a car coming in the side window.
Yep. The murder of Colonel Ramirez was just one act in a macabre war by the Medellin Cartel against the Colombian state in its attempt to outsmart it, but it was also a milestone which resulted in the fight against the cartel being quickly strengthened with the international support of the DEA in order to hunt down the main ringleaders.
It's on
and
now,
so this
bro.
is when, yeah, and this is when the pressure became actually too much for Pablo. He started worrying about, I think there was even a bomb that went off like in the basement of his home or something like that, and like he started to fear for his family.
Yeah, his daughter was injured in that explosion.
Yeah, and with the DEA now cracking down on him and with fear of extradition and all this stuff, he finally decided to turn himself in, knowing that there was an agreement in place with his surrender and that he would be put in his own prison that he had built. It was on his property, called the La Catedral, or the Cathedral. In June of 1991, Escobar surrendered to the Colombian government of President Cesar Gaviria. In return, the threat of extradition was lifted, and Escobar was allowed to build his own luxury prison called the Cathedral, which was guarded by men he handpicked among his employees. The prison lived up to its name and became complete with a casino, spa, and nightclub. In June 1992, however, Escobar escaped when authorities attempted to move him to a more standard holding facility. And they tried to move him because like we said, he had gotten too cocky. How they even allowed him to do this in the first place blows my mind. What's the difference between him living in the cathedral and him being free in his home on his ranch? It's the same thing to me. He's still ordering hits. He's still
right.
It's not like he was out there in the streets killing people anyway. He's running things from behind doors regardless. Him being in the cathedral, him being at home is the same shit. The only difference is at least you know exactly where he is, but you already knew where he was. He was on his ranch most of the time.
Right. You couldn't get to it anyways.
But what he did was he had some of his higher ranking guys in his operation that he didn't trust brought to the cathedral and murdered. And that's kind of what forced their hand and said, all right, you're going to a regular prison now. And we got wind of the fact that he was being moved. That's when he basically just walked out the door because he had his own men guarding the cathedral.
Yeah.
And,
put your guns down. I'm going for a walk.
Yeah. Just look the other way. Here's $1,000.
Right.
A manhunt for the drug lord was launched that would last 16 months. During that time, the monopoly of the Medellin Cartel, which had begun to crumble during Escobar's imprisonment as police raided offices and killed its leaders, rapidly deteriorated. So this is a lot of the later part of Narcos season 1 where he's like hiding out in like a little condo and realizing it's kind of all coming to an end.
Yeah.
They just continue to get closer and closer. And actually the fact that he brought in international attention and help from other countries to get him ended up being a large part of his downfall, because I think it was France donated this van of surveillance, like the most high-tech surveillance shit that the world had to offer at the time.
They did.
With trackers, and ultimately they were able to pinpoint if he was on the phone for more than 3 minutes with like a family member. He loved his family. That's one thing you can say that it has any sort of positivity to it, is that he was actually a good family man. Like he loved his wife and his kids dearly, and he had to talk to them every day. And like even when he was at the cathedral, he had a telescope on his patio that was pointed right at his wife's bedroom, so he could talk to his daughter on the phone and look at her through the telescope. And so, like, even after he's on the run, after escaping the cathedral, he's having to call his son and his talk to his daughter on the phone and his wife every day. But he even knew if he spoke to them for more than 3 minutes that his position, his location could be tracked.
That's right.
And they knew and he knew, but eventually he slipped up, and he was hiding out in this condo or whatever, and spoke to on the phone to his son for more than 3 minutes, and they were able to locate his position. Yeah,
He
so
did
let's
it on
talk.
purpose, man. I think he did
You
it on
think so?
purpose. Yeah,
So
that was his.
He was, yeah.
I'd like to know what that last conversation was, because I bet it was a whole lot of, I love yous, I want the best for you, good luck.
The show almost made it seem like that, right? I'm thinking
Yeah.
back to that episode where they got him, and it was like he went right out in the open and like
Yep.
drove around and like went and got some kind of like his favorite snack at like a little friggin' deli, and like it seemed like he'd accepted, like, this is it, this is the end.
Yep.
He had one bodyguard watching over him.
Yeah, one bodyguard, really. All
right.
the men that he employed at the time.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
he couldn't
he was
trust anyone
prepared.
anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, too.
So let's talk about Pablo's death. Escobar's family unsuccessfully sought asylum in Germany and eventually found refuge in a Bogota hotel. Escobar himself was not so lucky. Colombian law enforcement finally caught up to the fugitive on December 2nd, 1993, in a middle-class neighborhood in Medellin. A firefight ensued as Escobar tried to escape across a series of rooftops. He and his bodyguard were shot and killed, and that's the infamous footage and pictures you see of him on that red brick roof,
Yeah.
in like a lower class area.
Dude.
He was hiding out in just a average little townhome.
How do you feel about those pictures, man? With like all the FBI agents
So
like
weird, right?
crouched around
It's
them.
like,
I don't
what it's
feel
like.
good about
I'm
it.
going hunting soon, and it reminds me so much of those dudes that are into trophy hunting, where
Yeah.
they're sitting there smiling. I don't do that. Like, by the way,
I don't.
I'm
That
into,
doesn't
I'm into
make
hunting
me feel
and
good at all.
I'm into
I don't
hunting
like
for
that.
the meat, and like I respect the animal and all that, and like nothing against trophy. I'm not trying to shit on trophy hunting. It's just not for me. Like, I get that conservation is still important with hunting and all that stuff, but like I do find it weird when people are posing with these like lions and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
that's what
like
it
an
reminded me
exotic
of.
animal. That's too much. But then with a human, I don't know, man. I don't like that, dude. I don't.
It was weird, right?
I know he wasn't the best guy. He was.
But he still had a
terrible-
family.
He did a lot of terrible
imagine
shit.
being his kids and seeing those pictures.
Right. I don't like that, man. Even like Osama bin Laden, you know what I mean? Like even him, piece of shit that he was, I still, it's like you killed him.
We don't need
Okay,
the
great.
pictures. We just need we just need the headline.
We just need the confirmation.
Or
that's
even
all.
if it was just a picture of him laying there, but like it was definitely creepy with all these like smiling, happy DEA agents and
Yes,
shit.
that was just too much, man.
All but like holding his head up and like making like a smile with his face or something. It was feel like it wasn't far from that,
Not at all. I don't doubt that that may have happened actually.
right?
That just wasn't on a picture.
Right. They probably did. They probably they probably did some weird poses with him and shit. All right, so let's talk about the aftermath of Escobar's death. Escobar's death accelerated the demise of the Medellin Cartel and Colombia's central role in the cocaine trade. His end was celebrated by the country's government and other parts of the world. His family was placed under police protection. Still, many Colombians mourned his killing. More than 25,000 people turned out for Escobar's burial. He built houses and cared for the poor. One funeral goer stated at Escobar's funeral in a story reported by the New York Times, quote, "In the future, people go to his tomb, pray in the way they would a saint."
Yeah.
Escobar was...
Gangsters
Go ahead.
still go to his. I was gonna say gangsters still go to his grave and knock on.
Oh,
it
yeah,
for
they
good
knock on
luck.
it, right.
Like it's still, it's pretty sacred even to this day.
Yeah, that speaking of gangsters, like I found that kind of interesting. That hitmen in Colombia would go to this. Was it like a cathedral or something, or a church where there was like these candles burning, and they would light candles before they would go out on their runs to kill people?
Right.
Did you see that in the documentary?
Yeah.
Such a eerie like image.
It's something that makes them feel good,
It's-
man. It
what-
cleanses their
what's-
conscience. It makes them feel
what's-
like
What's
I
that
don't know.
movie with the two Irish brothers? The
Boondock Saints.
It's very Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
Going to the church and like lighting candles before they go out on hits.
Yeah. It's a Catholic thing, man.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about some of the stuff that's been created in the like entertainment that's been created in the aftermath of Escobar. He was the subject of a popular 2012 Colombian television miniseries, El Patron del Mar. The program was produced by Camilo Cano and Juana Uribe, both of whom had been family members of people who were murdered by Escobar and his assistants. And then, of course, the TV show Narcos. Assisting in the manhunt for Escobar were two American drug enforcement agents, Steve Murphy and Javier Pena, both of whom had been working the Escobar case for years. Their story formed part of the backbone of the 2015 Netflix series Narcos. In 2016, Escobar's brother Roberto announced he was prepared to sue Netflix for $1 billion for his misportrayal of their family in its series Narcos. Oh, shit. Roberto was Escobar's accountant for his drug gang in real life, but in the show, the accountant was depicted as a non-family member who turns out to be a CIA agent. Roberto Escobar has since abandoned his efforts. So
No.
yeah. Good
He's
luck.
like, oh,
getting a
never
billion
mind.
out of that,
Netflix
bro.
is huge. Never mind.
Yeah. Their lawyers, they're not having it.
No, absolutely not.
That being said, there was a power vacuum that was created when Pablo was killed, and of course, you get season 2 of Narcos, where it just kind of continues on with the Cali cartel, and it's just
Right.
it never really ends.
No,
You
I'm
know.
like, but I watched a few episodes of that season, and I was just like, I miss Pablo.
Right.
You know,
That's what I'm
I
saying.
miss Pablo.
Still good, but not the same.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
They started out with a bang. They should have started with some other stuff.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe done the sequel, then the prequel. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, some great memes have spawned from that show. Pablo, like the one where he's kind of like just standing there staring off into the distance.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like me on a Friday night.
Right. Maybe that's you when you think about your poor Carolina Panthers, Michael.
That's me, standing there with my hands in my pockets. Maybe one day we'll actually win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's Pablo Escobar. We knocked it out in an hour somehow, but I think we really, I feel like it's a good episode. I had fun with it, and
Yeah.
we got everything in there that I think needed to be said about the guy. I
Absolutely.
found it fun to study. I picked this one just because I've been wanting to do Pablo for a while.
Yeah, man, me too. I have too. I loved Narcos. I didn't know. I mean, I've always heard the name Pablo Escobar, but
Right.
after watching Narcos, it fascinated me. And then when like you said, the real footage that they throw in there,
Yep.
it just intrigues you even more. You're like, wow, because he hired his own camera crew. That's something we didn't mention, but he hired his own camera crew to document his life. There's tons.
Oh yeah, that's where you get the footage of
video
him
out
riding
there.
around through the rhinos and
Right,
dolphins on his dirt bikes.
Imagine if he didn't do that, man. That really created a legacy.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I guess back then that had to be in your foresight because not everybody was walking around with camera phones taking videos and pictures of every little fucking thing.
Well, cameras
So-
back then were so expensive. That probably played a
Yeah.
role in it too. He had the money to have a bunch of cameras and shit.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like now where you can get a freaking camera, like a little camera that fits in your pocket off Amazon that's HD for $10.
Yeah, I know.
You know, back then you had to have the
Yeah.
big over-the-shoulder shit that was like thousands of dollars.
Yeah, we take it for granted now. You know, it's like I guess in a way, everyone's life is kind of documented. Like I sometimes I scroll through Instagram and stuff and I'm like, why are people doing this? But then when I get a reminder from 3 years ago from Facebook or from Instagram or something, I'm like, oh, or Snapchat. I'm like, that's pretty cool actually. You get
Yeah,
to
no
you
doubt.
get to take a little Snapchat and be like, that's where I was. That's what we were doing then. And so that's kind of nice. So I don't know. I think it's just about a balance. It's about a
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother conversation.
Speaking of balance, do your armpits have balance?
Dude, mine do.
Mine
are
do too, and
balanced
that's
with, like
thanks
an
to our
Egyptian
sponsor.
pyramid right now.
Our-
I'm
our-
rocking Egyptian musk.
Our all-time sponsor, number one sponsor forever of the True Crime Guys podcast.
That's right.
Oh my Gaia.
Oh My Gaia. Oh My Gaia is an innovative, all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. Their innovative line of deodorants inhibit the growth of odor-causing bacteria while maintaining effectiveness. At Oh My Gaia, they use only all-natural, paraben, and aluminum-free organic ingredients. Guys, there's tons of scents to choose from vanilla, cherry almond, sandalwood, lavender, lemongrass, Egyptian musk, my personal favorite, coconut, dreamsicle, leather, lumberjack, honeysuckle, fireside. And guys, we have our very own scent, if you don't know, called True Crime Pine. That's another one that I always keep on hand because, I mean, I guess it's a little bit vain because it has our picture on there, but I think it's cool, and it's a cool thing to show people who learn about the show. But True Crime Pine, I think it's a little bit sweet as well. It has a sweet smell to it, don't you think, Lauren? Like it's definitely a unisex, but it also has that piney forest.
Yeah,
smell
it
as
could
well.
absolutely go on a woman or a man,
Right.
and you'll get banged either way.
That's right, definitely, and hopefully,
And it's got our logo on it.
right, and you'll have this deliciously sweet True Crime Pine smell to cover up
That
any
won't give you
odor
cancer.
that you don't want.
Most
That
importantly.
won't give you cancer. No paraben, no aluminum. That's right. And guys,
So.
you have no reason not to try it because with the code word CREEPER, CREEPER, you can get 15% off your order at ohmygaia.com. That's OHMYGAIA.com or at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram.
It's getting warmer. Guys, we're growing our beards out. Playoff season's coming for hockey and football. Your playoff beards are going to start coming.
That's
and
right.
just for winter, man. You like to look like Grizzly Adams during winter, don't we? I like to grow mine out. So
I like
beard
to grow
oil,
mine out, too.
she has, Oh My Guy has phenomenal beard oil as well with all the scents that we mentioned. So definitely check that out.
Exactly. And if you just want scented oil, ladies, she has that as well. So don't think you're left out just because you don't have a beard. Or, I mean, ladies, if you do have a beard, that's cool too. You can also use the beard oil.
Beautiful.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about the people who have taken the time to go and rate and review our show on iTunes. The fire emojis fucking rolling in like gangbusters. Thank you guys.
Yes.
I think it's beautiful. Even if you just you don't want to write a review, maybe you're not you're the best writer or anything like that. You just don't want to take the time. Just go click 5 stars, pop in some fire emojis. It really, it kind of sets off our reviews, man.
It looks really
you go in
nice
there, you're
scrolling
like, this
through it, too.
podcast has got to be fire. Like,
They
look at all these
gotta
fire
be.
emojis.
Gotta be.
So since our last free episode, there may be a couple of duplicates in here. I'm trying to. Last one we posted on September 4th, so I'm going back to a few days before that. So I want to thank Sam Fierce. Wrote a great review about us and put some fire emojis. Thank you. Cappy_girl said, love these guys. Thank you. Mezzy Mac, shitload of fire emojis. Hell yeah. Penance from heaven. This recovering Catholic freeloader loves your work. Love it.
Beautiful. Well said.
Jank362, fire, bunch of fire emojis. Raul Mar12 said, love this show, best true crime podcast. Thank you. Nicorette said, #freeloader proud. Hell yeah. I love the people who just embrace it and say, hell yeah, I'm a freeloader for life.
Be it. That's great.
Yep.
That's freaking awesome.
J-Dog Huey gave us 5 stars with a bunch of fire emojis and then the exploding firecracker emojis too. Hell yeah. Let's see. Tashizi, thank you for the 5-star review and said the urge for me to interject is so strong. I like the conversational tone here and appreciate the added details to certain stories I've heard retold on different podcasts. Thank you. The original Meg, 5 stars, great pod, bunch of fire emojis. Aimster Doodle Pufferkins, 5 stars, love it, thank you. Shani Ruth said #1 freeloader, 5 stars, thank you. Banana Man Zach, 5 stars, 4 fire emojis. Come on, give us 5 fire emojis, 1 for each star at least.
Oh, but dude, let's not complain. He gave the 5 where it counts. You know what I'm saying? This guy's gonna be like, "It's fucking assholes." So
Banana Man,
exactly what they said.
Banana Man Zach, I expect 1 more fire emoji. You better redo that.
Just do 1 more review. He's gonna be like, "Yeah, here's 1 more fire emoji with 1 star, bitch."
Right. Gwenny Farr 28. Always recommend. Bunch of fire emojis. Thank you. Marielle Torres, great company. 5 stars. Thank you. Nisi 6. Love you guys. 5 stars. Bunch of fire emojis. Gamer Geek 3344718. 5 stars. Bunch of fire emojis. Love it.
I need to get on there. Apparently, I haven't seen the reviews in a while. I've not seen all these fire emojis.
We're up over 1,200 reviews now, dude. Crazy.
Oh, damn. I got to get on there.
Betty Jane Starling, like a true crime hangout. 5 stars. Thank you.
That's a great description.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Jessica Poole, 5 stars. Laugh. Thank you. Ebola Spice, 5 stars. After every episode, I can't get the outro music out of my head. Love it. That's big props to you, Michael.
Thanks.
Shelby1122, 5 stars. Heart emoji. Thank you. Levinson, thank you for the 5-star review and all the fire emojis. CPTTB, thank you. Hayden Girl 13, thank you. Said love the podcast, 5 stars. Fort Worth Mama, one of my faves, 5 stars, thank you. Faye Renee, you all are amazing, 5 stars, thank you. Les Russ, 5 stars. Fire emojis, you guys are awesome, thank you. Shepples, 5 stars. Thorough fun. You'll still be able to sleep at night. Right on.
Oh, that's a
So
good
thank
one.
all of you guys,
Yeah.
man. That's a lot. Appreciate it. It's probably because we took a little longer break than normal. It's because we lost that episode and such, but
Right.
definitely all the reviews are still rolling in. We thank you guys so much. And we also thank all the people who have gone and signed up to Patreon, and all the people who will after this go and sign up for Patreon. $2 a month gets you a bunch of free content. Patreon.com/truecrimeguys. Not free content. $2 a month content.
Right.
But all of our bonus episodes get you in the monthly drawing. It gets you Michael's show that he does himself called Higher Thoughts.
That's right.
Where he just shares what's going on in his head. He answers listener questions. It's great, and he's in a different state of mind if you can figure that out.
Right. And I'm getting back into that, guys. Last week I did the first episode in about 4 weeks, so you had to give me a little transition period, but we should be back on track now. I just released episode 26.
Yeah, he moved across the country, guys. Give him a break.
Yeah, give me a
But we're
break. Give me like a
back
4-week
full
break.
steam ahead now.
Yeah, we're back.
It's never been better time to join Patreon.com/truecrimeguys.
That's
Oh,
true.
and also $5 a month gets you the golden Creep Van sticker. It's very prestigious.
Mm-hmm.
Only a select few people in the world have it. So just so you know, and
That's
if
right.
if you donated, if you became a $5 Patreon within the last month, I know there was a few weeks there where I didn't get the stickers out. I just sent them out, so they should be coming any day now. If you're listening and you've been a $5 Patreon for like a week or two, just know your gold Creep Van's coming.
It's coming.
I just
And
did a
don't-
whole stack of them. So
Nice. Dude, they add up quick, don't they? It's a
yeah,
good problem
they
to
do.
have.
And you forget
problem to have.
sometimes I forget I got to send those out, and then I'm like, oh shit, I got to do it. So I send them all out in one day. So
Right. The post office person's like, what the hell is this for?
yeah, exactly. So yeah, is that about it? Do we got a Patreon one? Oh wait, I'm going hunting, so I don't know if we can do I think we can record next weekend.
You think
I
so?
think I should be back. So don't quote me on that, but we'll see.
All right. So Lauren's going hunting. If there's not an
Don't count us
episode,
out.
then Lauren's still in the woods somewhere, and
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
All right, cool.
All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. We love you. Keep creeping. See you on the other side.
Keep creepy, guys.
True crime guys, in the desert we like a mirage. It's okay if you clicked on us cause you thought we was True Crime Garage. Now we ain't mad at you, sit down, let us talk at you. I'm talking to the creeper army, we out here making murder, get murder, get murder. True crime guys, in the desert we like a mirage. It's okay if you clicked on us cause you thought we was True Crime Garage. Now we ain't mad at you, sit down, let us talk at you. I'm talking to the creeper army, we out here making murder charming.
I almost just hung up on you.